everyone. It's Monday, so that means it is time for us, the troubleshooters. I almost went into like the Go logo. Like Otter would be over there going, "Is it time to go? Okay, punch it." Hi, everyone. We took last week off. We had some people who were not feeling well, so we are back. Oh man, what's going on? So Gen Con, obviously, I went. There was a thing. Had a great time. I may have told you all about it. I don't remember. Yes, because we had the weekend that I came back the Monday that I came back. We talked about it. I've got not only do I have my regular copy of Wild Beyond the Witchlight, but I also went and got the variant cover because I have to have the variant cover. It's got a cute little Displacer Beast kitty on the front of it. It's a Displacer Beast kitten. How could you not want that in your life? Then we had D&D Celebration the following weekend, which was like, guys, what are we doing? Where they announced that coming up in 22 is a new set that is the Monster Manual revamped. It's not called that, it's called something else. But they've also included in there like Tasha's and Xanathar's and the variant covers on those, and it's a whole box set. And what they've done is they've taken the Monster Manual, redid a bunch of the stuff there, added some stuff from Tome of Foes and Volos, and made it this whole other thing. So I'll be getting that, and of course the variant cover, and of course it'll have its own DM screen on it. So that's coming out in 22. There is also coming up this month in like not very far away, October the 19th. Yes, October the 19th. Fizban's Horde of Dragons is coming out, so don't forget that you can get that. That will be coming out, and it looks to have a lot of added stuff in there that I'm really looking forward to. New sub races for the Ranger that are all Drake Stalkers or Drake Hunters. There are there's new information about the different dragons. They've added crystalline dragons as well as different metallic dragons. They've changed the lore. They go more into depth and detail about Baphomet and Tiamat and Paladine and Takesis, if you're followers of the whole Dragonlance thing. So that's coming out. And then next month, they've got another book coming out, Curriculum of Chaos, if you're into the whole Magic the Gathering crossover with D&D. Then that will be coming out. But what I really want to talk about was the announcement that in 3 years, closer to 2, but in 3 years, they've talked about not the next version. So I want to make sure that we have that language out of the way. It is not the next version of D&D. It is the next evolution or revolution of this wonderful game that we all love. They are talking about basically if you played 3.0, and we remember when 3.5 came out, it really wasn't a different edition, even though it had a different number. It was there were slight changes to the rules that made it all work better, but the rule set were the same. You still rolled for your reflex, fortitude, and will saves. Those were your saves. You still, had this whole laundry list of skills, but they just revamped things. That's actually what they're talking about for this new edition, or not new edition, this new evolution of the game. So what I'm thinking is that they're going to take the past decade. That's right. By that time, 5th edition will have been out for 10 years. So they're going to take the next decade, the last decade of gaming, look at what worked, what didn't work, revamp it, and then release it back out into the wild. So I'm kind of excited about that because it's going to mean a lot for different things. Does that mean you can't play with the original rule set? No. The rule set exists as they are. But I think it's interesting that they did away with the canonical thing with the regards to what came before so that they can look at these evolutions of things as they go forward. So I'm excited about it to see what they are going to release. Let's see. So last week we were off. This week we are back at it again. We are down one player. We wish them all the best. We hope that they get to feeling better, and we will see them hopefully next week. In the meantime, though, they made a deal with Darwin to get a place to stay. Colm went off on his own, gave them a sending stone, or what we lovingly call the Rocky Talkie. And when they reached back out to Colm, they had noticed something was amiss. That there has been somebody else intercepting the phone call, and that person being Peter Dietrich. With Peter Dietrich now in control of Colm, they faked him out saying, oh no, we dropped Colm off and then legged it. Well, that might not be quite the case, but that gave them some time to kind of get together and maybe pull together an army, maybe with a new friend or an ally, or at least somebody that they can hopefully trust. So, without further ado, let's begin this episode of The Troubleshooters. Welcome back, everyone. So, you got the rocks. You talked to Peter, made it awkward, as you do. And then you're going to go make a deal, it sounds like. So you're standing currently in the textiles, in the former textile location that you are currently calling your base of operation. Where are we going to first, party? Who is leading the way?
Sounds like we should probably go talk with Darwin.
Okay. So, you guys are going to go talk to Darwin back at the tavern. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Making your way, winding your way through the city as you normally do. You find yourselves
avoid any of our friends with their bands.
With their bands and their sticks and their guns and their bombs.
Yeah.
They're in your head. All right. Then let's do this. Let's give
I got enough people in my head. I don't need more people in my head.
All right, let's do some stealth checks then, my friends.
Dirty 20.
6.
Oh, well. With a whopping +5 in stealth, I also rolled a 6.
Total of a 6.
Yep.
Mine has disadvantage on a +3, so I didn't even feel. Oh, I'm sorry, it's 7. I rolled a 4.
So our total is a 33, divided by 3 of you, for an 11 as the average. You know what? I'm going to roll for this because this is going to be too much fun.
I already feel like I'm mentally face palming myself.
You're just over there looking at them going, what are you doing? As they're they're walking through the streets going,
we don't need theme music.
Banana.
And if we do need theme music, put it in your head, please.
He already has enough stuff in his head.
So do I. Well, actually, I don't anymore. Haha.
No, yours is waiting for you back at the...
Oh, okay, he's saying, he's being like a good little house husband. It's fine.
Yeah, he's not storming the castle with you guys.
That's okay.
I thought I had a D&D thing on here, but apparently a dice roller on my phone because my dice are not in this room with me. But you know what I don't have on my phone? Oh wait, there it is. Founded it. All right, let's just roll this. Okay. That's awesome. They're guards, right? They use the guard stat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. The guard has a passive of that, but I rolled. As you guys are walking along through one of the alleyways, you can see ahead of you, coming your direction, as you duck down an alley trying to avoid another group, you see a group of 4 of them making their way towards you. 3 of them appear to have just batons in their regular beat, and you can see the third one has his hand already poised on a holster at his side as he looks you guys up and down. You have a round because they are a little bit surprised to see you. You have 1 round. Everybody gets basically 1 action, bonus action, movement, go. We'll start with Emrys.
Huh.
They see you. You have been spotted.
So, See, even though they've seen me, I think, where is it? I know I put it on here. Inventory. I think I would also like to not be seen at the same time.
Are you going invisible?
Well, I'm going to an astral plane. If I
Hey.
can.
I mean, you're wearing the robe.
That's true.
You just leaving your friends there?
Oh, I'm not gonna leave them, but I will I will have some fun with it. I might as well give it a shot. So, do I have to do the cloak whoosh?
Oh, yes, absolutely you do.
That is canon. It has to happen.
We have one of you talking into the sending stone like it actually works like a phone. You're goddamn right I'm going to make you go swish with the cape.
So, I can't remember where I've seen this before, but like take the cloak and as it like swirls up and I disappear.
Yep. All of a sudden your friend is gone.
And
this bastard just left you all in the alley.
I do the and just disappear.
That makes it worse.
I'm just
Hey,
like,
you guys, don't go anywhere.
Now, were we told anything about this cape before we left, or did you just... Okay, cool. So, Emrys has left us.
Emrys just pieced the fuck out.
Okay, so I do reappear in the last space I occupied. So, okay. That's a little unfortunate, because I wanted to move around if I could, but... Alas.
No, you're in the same place, you just move.
Perfect.
How long does it last for? I forgot. It's just a round, isn't it?
You remain there until you use an action to return to the plane you were on.
Okay. So they can move through your square and what have you. And if I'm not mistaken, you can still see what's going on.
It does not actually state that.
Interesting. Okay.
All it states is, while in the robe, I can use the action to go to the astral plane, along with everything that I'm wearing or carrying. Remain there until I use an action to return, reappear in the last space you occupied, or if there is a space that is occupied, the nearest unoccupied space. And it doesn't state if I can see or not, so that would be up to you.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say it's more like an astral projection.
Perfect. So I will wait until they get closer, if anything.
Right. Okay. All right, Moonin.
If you can see me, I'm staring dumbfounded at the area you just momentarily occupied before you left. Dumbfounded.
Moonin's mouth is slightly...
just like...
mouth slightly ajar. Just...
It's like looking like... What?
Where'd he go?
Well, fuck.
Goodbye. Sorry.
That is the appropriate response when someone just pieces out in front of you.
Can Liz go before Otter? Because I have a really good plan.
Yeah.
But Otter's also
Sure.
going to go.
I'm
fuck.
in shock. Do your thing. I'm just trying to
Go for
figure
it.
out what the heck just happened.
So I assume either the ground or the buildings are stone of some kind.
The ground is.
She just like lays down on the ground and melds into stone.
What are you using?
Like flat planking on the ground.
What spell or effect are you using?
Meld into stone.
Oh,
You step into
really?
a stone object or surface large enough to fully contain your body, melding it you and all the equipment you carry for the stone for the durations. It's up to 8 hours.
What I like though is that you don't lay down on the ground. You just look at Moonin and go as you sink into the elevator down into the earth.
Yes.
They both just left your ass there. They both just so Emrys just whirled their robe around and disappeared, and then you look over at Liz, and all of a sudden you just see her like sinking into the ground, just going
Like waving the whole
She
time,
goes
just like
down.
lowering.
Yeah, just Yep. That's what just happened. What's the casting time on that, just so I know? That meld into Earth.
1 action. Change area touch.
Could you touch an ally and take him with you?
I don't think so. It just says you step. If I could, I would definitely have grabbed Moonin and try to like have done that, but I don't think I can. I think it is just a me thing.
So I have a question then. It says everything I am wearing and carrying. If I was like piggybacking Moonin, would that count?
No, because he's carrying you.
No. Listen, I can be strong.
It's adorable that you think so.
So I have a singular action.
You have like a turn. You have a turn. It could be attack, and then you could just barrage down the alleyway.
You know, I'm panicking and thinking of ways I can try and get out of this situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is going to be one of the moments my magic manifests itself.
Your newfound magic?
Trying to figure out a good way to deter them from approaching.
What are you going to do?
My brain goes to explosive would be a good reason for them not to approach, and I will cast Minor Illusion to create a stick of explosives that looks like it's like sparking on the fuse, and just kind of like set it down in the alleyway and walk away.
So you reach down as part of the action, and like you're casting the magic and you pull, but it's already laying there and it looks like it's like sparkling a little bit, and it's laying on the ground, and you just kind of look at them and then start moving away. I want you to give me 2 rolls.
Yep.
I want you to give me Deception.
$23.
Okay.
19 plus 4.
They look at you, and immediately all of them start doing that thing where they go, whoa! And then as you kind of like back away, or do you turn and walk away?
I back away until I'm like starting to get out of sight in the alley.
As you start to back away from it, you watch as they all start to back away down the other end of the alley until they get to right about where the edge is, and they just all break and leg it. They just break and run. So you're sunk into the stone, so I don't think you can see anything but rock in front of you and around you.
Guys!
Emrys, you watch as they just bolt down the alleyway.
Hello?
Fling the cloak back.
Fling the
I'll bring
cloak back and reappear right where you were.
What the fuck?
So I have to make perception checks at disadvantage. So is shoot,
If I knock on the ground, I can hear it.
Will 14 be able to hear knocking or Moonin talking?
I'm gonna say Moonin wasn't quietly saying what the fuck, so I'm gonna say you heard him shout that out.
She then just pops back out.
Also,
Elevators
what the fuck?
back up.
We gotta go.
She's doing that thing, but instead of water, it's like dirt.
Dust.
Dust.
Dirt.
I had to improvise. We need to go.
I will
Alright,
say I
you-
wasn't planning on running. I was gonna, you know.
You just
they got-
disappeared.
Yeah, this thing's kind of nifty.
I
not
didn't
only
know
pretty.
that. I just looked over and it was you were gone.
It is a neat trick. I'll have to use it more often.
All right. Moving back again. I need more stealth checks. I need one more.
Not using that
Let's
first
see how
die
we-
anymore.
See how we do this time.
That's better. That's better. 16 plus 5, 21.
Nice.
24. 18 plus 6.
24
Spotless.
and 20. Moonin, what'd you have again?
21.
21 and a 24.
Mhm.
All right. So we're at what, 45?
This time it's 8.
So we're at 53. Rounded. Let's go up 1 to 54 and divide that by 3. That'll be 18. So well done.
Next time we are at a place where we can get Liz some better armor, we should definitely do that. Because right now she has disadvantages on all stealth.
Well, you are able to make your way to the tavern that you remember meeting Darvin in, and you can see that once again his fellow ne'er-do-wells, you'll say, are outside, some of them leaning against the post, some of them like hanging out at the door in the entrance. As you make your way in, you can see he is sitting in the back. They fold in around you as though they were made of the door stuff themselves. You finally find your egress, or your point of exit this room, crowded by several large figures.
I will be right back. Somebody has something to give me at my front door.
Darvin is sitting at a table currently playing a rousing game of cards. You can see that he has just won a hand, and he slaps one unfortunate fellow on the back who appears to be less than pleased with his turn of luck. Darvin looks up at you all, throwing his cards down on the table, standing up, his coat, his vest buttoned up, but you can see the gold pocket watch chain that hangs across the front of it. He stands over his socks and brown shoes there. He looks to be very well dressed.
You froze for a second there.
Am I back?
You're back. The guy got up from the table, and then the description afterwards, we lost about 5 or 6 seconds of it.
Okay. His pants show about that much of his ankles, and you can see that he's got shoes that might be slightly too large. Bright green socks, brown trousers that lead up to a white shirt with the green waistcoat over it. He kind of, or the green vest over it. He looks at the lot of you and says, "Are the accommodations to your liking?"
Yes.
Well, It's not that I'm not happy to see you, but what can I do for you now that you're here?
We were hoping to possibly have an audience in private.
Of course, I'm happy to have a private conversation with you. And he kind of looks around at the table and he goes, "Piss off, you lot." And you watch as they gather their cards and money and sort of vacate, leaving 4 chairs empty for the lot of you. You each take one, and he says, "Are you a bit parched now? Is there anything that I can do to help you?"
I could use a drink.
Certainly. He calls for a round. Pints are brought and set out around amongst all of you. He looks at you, Emrys, and says, "You wouldn't refuse me hospitality, would you?"
Not that I'd refuse it, it would just go undrank. I don't drink.
Well, that is a shame. Sort of sours the deal, if you understand.
Consider it an option maybe for the future, but at this moment.
So,
He's not one for alcohol.
what brings you back round here?
It would seem all of us, including the DM, has received a point of luck. And we have all also received a party bane and a party boon.
A party bane and a party boon.
Yes.
All right, the party bane. I'm going to hand that out right now. Due to the refusal of hospitality, regardless of, you each have disadvantage on your next charisma or persuasion check, any charisma check, when dealing with Darvin. Your next charisma check dealing with Darvin.
Okay.
Disadvantage. Your party boon.
Oh, I think he froze again.
No, I was just thinking. Am I there?
Yep. No, you totally stopped mid
I stopped
motion.
because I was like,
it just...
it looked like I froze because I was like,
okay.
I'll get back to you on the party boon. That's there.
Okay.
But let's see how this goes. Oh, actually, I know what it is. Should you have a successful outcome of this interaction, meaning that you have gained whatever favor it is you're looking for, will automatically be doubled whatever it is that you wanted. So if it was like men to help fight, whatever number originally would have asked for, he will double it. If it was within his range. So if you ask for like 3,000 people, he's gonna be like, "I can't do that because I don't have 3,000 folks." So, but we will double your outcome if you are successful in this outcome. So, that is your boon and your bane, and you have luck. And I wish you luck in dealing with Darvin. So,
Well, kind of look to the party. Am I the one talking here?
Liz is happy to talk, and Liz is also happy to try to talk in Sylvan with Darvin if that seems like it will make an advantage in their favor. And she would have said this before they had went into the encounter, but I as the player have no idea what we're doing. Like I know that we're trying to get stuff, but I don't know anything about Darvin as a character because I was out.
Darvin seems to have some sort of power. It looks like you guys are going to raise some sort of rescue group to try to get Colm back.
Emrys's friend informed us that Darvin may be of the Fey variety, and we may find some aid with him, as they usually don't like people stepping into their territory. I think those were the words that were used.
Yeah.
With that knowledge, she then turns to Darvin and goes, in Sylvan, my Sylvan is a little rusty, but I know that sometimes this is a good show of faith with the Fae. And I know that this is a bad idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. And she then chugs the entire beer that was put before her. Like, she knows that that's a bad idea. You don't drink from Fae, whether it's hospitality or not. But she does it anyway. And she goes, all right. We have some favors that we would like to ask because there are people encroaching in your territory. And this she says back in common so that everyone is aware of what she's saying.
Moonan's confused by this interaction and follows suit with his
just chugs it.
like,
Give me Constitution saving throws, you two.
You bet. Bad at those. 15.
Mine's a 14, so we're not looking good.
It's actually enough. You feel the effects of it, but it doesn't alter anything. You know that you can't do that too much more, otherwise it will be very bad. But for now, you're okay. He looks at you and says in Sylvan, "You're right. It is rusty. But that's okay. It'll be forgiven." And then back in common, "That was awful brave of you to try and drink it all at one go. When you said someone stepping on my territory, what is it that you're referring to? Is there somebody in particular that you might be meaning other than you lot?" Prying into this
I don't think we've stepped on your territory at all, but I mean, there's a she pauses for a second and like sort of looks around the bar, and then in Sylvan goes, "Vampire?" And then like just like ends her sentence.
He starts laughing and says in common, "If there were any of those dead bastards around, I'm sure I would know it first of all. So, are you sure there's one around here?"
Liz just goes, "Oh, I'm 100% positive that there's one around here. He has our friend."
Mm-hmm. You hear him shout something in a language that I don't think any of you know. He shouts in Gaelic. The equivalent.
Gej
does. So
Like
Gej would
Gej
understand that we've a fang bastard in the town. So, you don't understand that, but basically there's some fanged bastard, and immediately there's kind of like, you hear the sounds of chairs scraping after he yells in this tongue, and people start to stand. You watch as several of them take up what appear to be cudgels and other things that, like pulling brass or, knuckles out and putting them on and getting themselves ready. And all of a sudden you watch as Darvin, this little slight person who's tall but thin and gangly, he just kind of puts his hands up and says like this, and you watch as just as quickly as their hackles were up, they recede and they all sit down again. "Thank you for letting me know. Now, what does the piece of information cost me?"
getting our friend back from the person, from, Pointy Man.
And I'm sure you know where he's at or how to get a hold of him.
I can even show you what he looks like.
Show you what he looks like. Probably. Also, I think this would work, but I think you can do locate object with the other sending stone. Can you not?
You could do that.
So probably we can probably even help out.
Can you show me his face then?
Can. Prefer not to do it here.
You can trust this lot.
Yes. I'm sure I could, but it's uncomfortable for me.
I think I can help.
How so? Minor illusion.
And I'm gonna think really hard. Moonin holds his hands out in front of him and is just like, and
I
minor
have
illusion
transformed into him.
sputters into space his bust.
So the bust of this man appears and it's like mostly accurate. But remember that everybody's memory is a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And so you basically have a composite drawing of like several eyewitnesses put together. The parts are in the right place. I would like for
It's like a Picasso. Everything's kind of like
no, it's all in the right place. But I want Liz and Emrys to both give me perception checks. Is that a 1?
It is over 20.
Okay.
So not one on the die.
Emrys, it looks okay to you. Liz, there are some things that need to be changed about it. So working together with the two of you, Emrys, since you've transformed into him, give me that.
Yeah.
Roll it again.
Okay. Well, that's better. I have 21.
Okay. Working together, the three of you, this time with those changes in place, and you can see that it looks more accurate to what you recall him looking like. You watch as your friend Darvin just sort of chuckles. That's the man that you're saying is the fanged bastard, then, are you? What did you say his name happened to be?
He goes by many names, but his real name, we assume, is Peter Dietrich. Shelby has forgotten what the other name that he's going by, Andrew something or other.
Mm-hmm.
I still have those IDs on me, unless they took those from me.
Do you have all those? You
I
never got them. Remember, you went. Did you
That's
ever
true.
get all of your stuff back from the directorate's office in London?
No, I don't have them then.
No, you don't have them on you.
Dang it. I was
Son of
like,
a
wait,
bee.
don't I have those papers? I was like, huh. No, I would have given them to Colm, and Colm would still have them.
Yep. So he kind of chuckles and he says, "That's a new one for us, Peter Dietrich. You're right, he's had a lot of names over the years. Never knew him to use that one before. That's a new one. We know who he is, we're familiar with his work. And you're saying that this is the fellow that has your friend in there, does he? And you want our lot to help your lot to get revenge on this fella and get your friend back then there, do you?"
I don't say revenge, per se. But
I
yeah,
feel
getting our friend
like
back is
more
top
the
priority.
latter part.
So, rescue your friend. And then what? Run away from town, escape from this lot.
We can't very well deal with him as the stones lie currently.
Yeah, I'm good for giving. Where are we? Where is Darwin's base of operations right now?
Uh, in Liverpool, he would be kind of in almost like the center of town.
So yeah, I think we could agree to get out of town and not be in this man's hair. If for his help, considering that he thinks that we're already sort of encroaching on his stuff and fucking things up, especially because trouble does seem to follow us. So we would be happy to get out of this man's town and take our trouble with us.
And I'll ask you once more, what's in it for me?
Besides getting rid of the vampire that's in your territory.
Well, now that we know what he looks like and what his name is and that he's here, there's plenty of us to rid him of him ourselves. Why would we want to help you?
I mean, ridding him is the ultimate end game, so I mean that would help us no matter what. So I'm not entirely sure what you're looking for.
What I'm saying is, I've been in this place a long time, even before it was set down roots in stone. I'm pretty sure you all know that by now, though. What's
I
to
don't know
say?
much about the Fae, but I'll take your word for it.
He smiles at you. There's a smart lad. What's to say we don't rout him out ourselves? And whatever collateral damage happens to fall, falls. Meaning your friend could fall as well.
Pretty sure I can bring my friend back. So I mean, as long as you get the body, I think we'll be fine.
Or we just sit here and let nature take its course. Turn you lot over to him. And he leaves town as well. So, I understand what your end goal is to get rid of him. But I'm not gonna work for you for free.
What is it that you want then?
Oh, and that's the question on everyone's lips, isn't it? What is it that old Darvin wants?
I'm not
I
sure
think
if
that
I
we
should interject, but I have an observation to add to the table.
Sure.
I'm not sure how long he has been incorporating all of the magic wielding thugs around town, but his influence is spreading very quickly, and if it's already all the way out here, it's only a matter of time before that influence becomes a threat.
Well said.
Because the rate he took over, or the speed he took over the Directorate headquarters was baffling. Which means this fellow has a lot behind them and is possibly a bigger problem than we may be giving them credit for.
You mortals and immortals. You lot live such a short life. Even you, Elfkin. It'll long be gone even after I live on. These things come and go. I've seen cities set fire to, razed to the ground only to be built up again. Fellas like this one will come and go. Someone will topple him. I do appreciate what you're saying, though. So I'll make a deal with you. All you have to do is find my heart. Find my heart and I'll be happy to deal with you. Simple enough task, innit?
Is this
Bliss then goes, now, I know that words are important. Are we speaking of a literal heart or a figurative one?
That's a good question now, isn't it? I tell you what, and he sort of, reaches into his waistcoat and he takes his watch out and he hits the button on the top. I'll give you a day. Remember, I've been here for a long time, and I'll give you these 3 pieces of information. I've always gone by one name and one name only, Darvin McCrary. I was here before the city was known as Liverpool. And my heart lies on this side of the city.
One more time?
My heart lies on this side of the city. I'm rather forlorn and a bit of a romantic. Do you care for another drink, then?
Liz smiles and goes, unless you're willing to talk and drink yourself, I think we better be off on our quest.
He reaches over and grabs Emrys's pint and just pulls it back over to his side, locks his hand in it, tips his head back, and just like does that audible swallowing as he's just gulping this thing down. Puts it down, wipes his mouth with the back of his sleeve or with the back of his arm, and goes, "Off to it then. Good luck to you." Go on.
Thank you for your time.
We'll see you tomorrow. And
Oh, I'm
out of
certain
the-
you will.
out of the bar they go. And Liz is all like, Gej, we need to go to the library. I feel like that's going to be some of our answers. And maybe a graveyard. Probably a graveyard. Find some of the oldest, like, stones.
The last time we went to a library, Gej and I had just escaped from some holding cells, so library.
You're like, we're going to the cemetery. Fuck a library.
Pulls wet pants out of bag. I'm ready.
I heard you say we're going to the library. You just hear the sound of like wet clothing being unfurled. Let's
I've
go.
been waiting for this one.
You just keep them in there with a like wet on intentionally,
Just like in a plastic bag. Just
Yeah.
like a Walmart bag.
Just think of the mold and the mildew that you would then be hit with.
If
with
it's in the
wet
bag of
pants.
holding, it doesn't grow.
But I think it would be very funny if it then did like poison damage.
Oh, that would be awesome.
You get smacked in the face, you get smacked with
Yeah, like
poison.
mold.
hope you
falls
don't
on
got
you.
allergies. Bang.
I hope you don't have an
Hope
open
you're a-
wound. Pow!
Yeah. I hope your immune system is strong. God.
No, you're just gonna slap him with penicillin?
Yeah.
All right. So, what are we doing? Is the party splitting up?
Probably
No?
a bad idea.
I mean, it's never a bad idea. What are you talking about?
Last time
So-
we had to break 2 people out of the director. Bad idea.
That's fair. That's fair. That is fair.
That was
Alright, so
the
where are we
whole
going?
thing. Well, they've always gone by the same name. He was here before the city was known as Liverpool. And it's on this side of the city. Possibly a map would be a good place to start.
I'll be honest, the one thing that strikes my fancy is he said he's always been a sort of romantic. So is this an item? Is it his actual heart hidden away, or does his heart lie with someone?
I would assume that his heart is a someone and it lies somewhere in the city. But I have no
We're not sure.
Yeah. I mean, did anyone see anything in the bar that looked anything like heart related?
It's a bar. I'm not sure there's going to be anything heart related there unless somebody's really flirting
Just-
with one of the tavern.
There's just
People.
one real big guy in the corner with just like a big sleeve, just mom with a heart.
You joke, but sometimes there's like a weird like heart above the door or like a heart locket somewhere or something of that nature. Liz would have done like a quick look as she was like walking out of the bar. So
Well, let's do this. Everybody give me some history checks.
Oh, my dice. I'll have to find
Oh
that
my
later.
God.
two.
Two.
The history check
Doing
is
great.
two.
Ah, that's really good. 17 plus 3, dirty 20.
20. Well,
16.
you know, okay. Around the town, you know, by looking at things and like where statuary and stuff like that, that the city was founded in 1207. So the city is older than magic.
Well, at least our magic, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if memory serves, the city was founded as Liverpool in
as a
12
borough of Liverpool. Mm-hmm.
as a borough of Liverpool in 1207. I don't know if that helps us.
You were the highest one, right?
Dirty 20.
Yeah, you wouldn't know this information right off the bat. But where do you guys want to go to first?
I feel like we should try and find a map, at least to see what lays on this side of the city, to possibly get a better idea of where to look into. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Anyone have other ideas? We have library and graveyard.
I don't know if graveyard would work because the corpse must still have a mouth. And anything that is older than this city would not have a mouth.
I mean, statues can stand for quite some time. But erosion is a thing.
I mean, we could look to see if there is a like headstone that is before that time period or of that time period. So I don't know. I still feel like a library would be good, but I don't read that quickly, so I don't know if anybody else thinks that that's a good idea. But I mean, I'm down for whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Emrys can go to the graveyard, and Moon and Gush can go to the library.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
I just want to reiterate the fact that all of us were seen today after telling a certain someone we were no longer in town.
Well, I can quickly disappear.
I noticed. I don't
Well,
know how long we have before people are actively looking for us.
I mean, graveyards are secluded. There's not. I mean, once you get into a library, they're usually secluded. But
Worst comes to worst, if you both want to stay indoors, that's a well way to stay hidden. Emrys can leave. I don't always have to be Emrys. Going out into the open is going to be much easier for me.
Okay, so where are you going to?
I can go to the graveyard. I can take a look
Alright.
around.
And they can
Um,
go to the library. Sounds like a good plan to me.
I
Are
will
you
say
going
if
to the cemetery by yourself?
I want to say I'd probably go with Gej, even though I know Voodoo is not here with us, but
That's okay.
everybody needs their sidekick cleric. Not sidekick. Actually, Gej would probably be better suited to lead and I'd be the sidekick. But,
We both need our support clerics.
There you go. Support clerics.
Emotional support clerics.
it's odd to not
this
take
is
the
a
next
physical
library
support
to the
cleric. I
graveyard,
can't,
in my opinion.
it's not happening for me.
So the two people who cannot change what they look like are heading into the library.
Okay. Searching the library.
Oh boy.
The young man at the desk as you enter into this large unit, this building that is housing all of these books of knowledge, both fiction and nonfiction, adjusts the glasses on his face and smiles at you. Welcome. How can I help you?
In the walk to the library, for the first time, Moonin is going to take down their hair and just try and change their appearance a bit, having it down.
Wow. All this hair comes cascading out of the... I should say all this hair. It comes down here. It's just thick in here.
Yep. The sides are shaven, but the top has been rolled back into a bun for most of this, and it's just hair everywhere now.
Yep.
Liz will do the exact opposite. She will then put her braid in a bun and tuck her ears into her hair. So it seems like a little bit better, but yes, it will be slightly different. So
okay.
Trying to keep the hair in front of all of the scars on the side of my face.
Like that emo kid.
Little bit.
All right. Tugs on their, tugs on their very smart looking shirt there. Welcome to the Library of Liverpool. How may I help you?
We're looking for where you hold your old newspapers.
Are you looking for records, perhaps?
Sure. The older, the better.
Excellent. Follow me right this way. And they guide you through many twists and turns and halls, and you realize it's not halls, it's shelves of books, to a small, secluded area where you can see large binders that have dates marked on them. It is not year to year, it's mid-year to mid-year. So you can see it does not contain all of the history of the city. The records only go back to about it's 1920. So let's say they go back to about the early 1700s.
Liz smiles and she goes, and for some reason I have her imagined as humped over, she's pretending to be an old woman. I have no idea why, but I have her just pretending to be an old woman. She's probably not doing a good job of it, but she's like, oh no, dearie, we're looking for a little bit older. Do you have any older records?
Yes. Follow me. You are then led down a staircase to a basement area where you can see several more documents, and you actually see people down here working by light. They are transcribing things. You can see them working on different documents and things like that. You were taken to what appears to be a public area. There seems to be several large. There are wooden rods that hold like these parchments through them, and then they have smaller ones that allow you to like keep it laid out flat, and then you turn them, and so forth and so on. These records again don't go all the way back, but they seem to contain a lot of information about the comings and goings. So it has obituaries, elections, ownership of property, transferals, and things like that. And it goes back even further to probably like you see documents dating back as early as the 1300s.
And marriages are on here, you said?
Marriages, obituaries, things like that.
Now, you said that we were put in a public area. Does Liz get the impression that there are records that are older than this?
Give me an insight check.
Insight is a 13.
Maybe with some of the stuff those guys are working with, but not right here in this area.
Liz just nods her head and just says, "Thank you. If we need anything else, I'm sure to come and ask. But thank you so much for showing us this."
Certainly. And with that, they sort of bow and leave the area, allowing you to do your research. All right. Start looking for stuff.
I will hand them a bit of currency as they leave. And
Oh,
thank
you.
She has quite an interest in history these days. I'm just kind of along for the ride.
Well, good luck in whatever it is you find. By the way, I'm a bit of a local history buff. Is there anything in particular that I could help you with?
Auntie, what was that name of the guy you were trying to get information about?
Auntie.
You're trying to act old. I'm going to play into it. Here you go. She heard this crazy story about this fellow and suddenly had this need to look into it. What was their name?
I don't know. I thought I heard this crazy story about a leprechaun or like a fairy or like an elf or like some like immortal, but I could have sworn that I went to high school with him. His name was Dwarven McAuliffe. What is his last name?
Makiri.
That is the last name that she would have come up with.
Darvin Makiri.
Yeah, that's the one.
McCreary.
Yeah, he was such a nice boy.
Those are all rumors and speculation. The McCrearys have been a successful family in this area. Well, they were a successful family in this area. Sad, true. They've shared a family name, so Darvin could have referred to the great-grandfather, the grandfather, the great-great-great-great-grandfather, the original founder. They passed the name on from one male heir to the next. So there was Darvin Edwin McCreary. There was Darvin James McCreary, so forth and so on. Long-lived though they were, healthy families they are. I believe that Darvin Edwin McCreary lived to be somewhere in the range of 85, something along those lines. So, again, like I said, long-lived individuals they are.
any marriages?
Oh, of course, there have been marriages in there as you go. Usually just and it's either extremely lucky or extremely unlucky. It's always one heir, and it's always a male. The most interesting thing. What in particular were you looking for? You said your friend went to primary and secondary school with you?
Yes, I wanted to, well, looking back on his ancestry, I just wanted to know whether or not he got married, and if not, if I could possibly find him in this town.
Pining, are we? Well, I'm a sucker for unrequited love. Let's see what we can find. He kind of looks you up and down. How long ago did you say this was?
Oh, it's not nice to ask a woman's age.
That's why I said how long ago was it, not what how old you are.
Hold on.
And at this point, she's like frantically looking at Moonin and being like, I can't tell him my real age. And I don't know how long a human lives. So
I know it's
goes,
improper to listen to people talk about their age.
she goes, I'm like, oh, I'd have to say that's at least like 60, 70 years ago now.
He eyes you like closely. Give me a deception check.
With the deception check, she's just going to like untuck her ear. Like when she realizes that he's eyeing her, she just as like untucks her ear for just a second. That is a 7.
You don't seem that old. You're
Well,
that's an unusual.
elves don't usually look super old.
I'm sorry. Did you say that you were an elf? Ah, I seem to have missed that bit. So, how far back were you looking to go? And you can see that he's decidedly taking like one rather like step away from you.
Me, this harmless old lady, he's taking a step back from me.
You're an elf. Yes.
You know, honestly, I'm just curious if he ever got married. Like that's all I want to know, and you know what his grandkids were like, and everything else of that nature. And you
The
seem
only
to know.
living heir that we know of is a ne'er-do-well by the name of Darvin McCrary, obviously. Darvin Thomas McCrary. If you're looking for him, you can find him eyeballs deep in a drink somewhere around the crack pot or the copper spigot, whatever they're calling it these days.
And marriages, I know that name, but was he married or did he have a heart?
His father, Darvin John McCreary, was married for a while, yes. He passed away several years ago.
What happened to his wife?
He passed away.
She passed away as well, and what was her name?
He goes to the records and starts looking, and he pulls out a rather large one and starts flipping through it. He says, here it is. Margaret Ann McCreary.
And his grandfather? What was the name of of his wife?
Her name was, I don't know. The records are all here. Why don't you take your time to find them? I've got other work to do, elf. And he starts to turn
Sir.
and walk away. What?
Leave it.
Are you sure, Auntie?
It is not worth it.
Sir, he's got his hand on his pistol as he's doing this, sir.
No hands on weapons.
Yet.
She's like, leave it. It's fine. She's dealt with this before, but at this point she just straightens up and she's just like, all right, my act is probably over. Fuck it.
Well, I'll leave you to your tome, Auntie. She's quite harmless. She's just digging into her past a little bit, that's all.
It was you and your lot that was responsible for the destruction down in Ensbrook. Don't think that we haven't forgotten how many young men that your people have helped overtake and kill.
I was here, but she like then straightens up and she's all like, I understand your racism, but I came here before Ensbrook and I knitted many a man back together, and I will not stand for you to talk about the fallen soldiers that I helped. So you can go back upstairs and do whatever job you have up there and let us be here. I've been very nice up until this point.
You're right. I do think I have business to attend to up the stairs.
Do you think there's anywhere I could make a cup of tea?
I'm sure there's somewhere in this city, but you're not making it here. And he starts to leave up the staircase again. Several faces have stopped transcribing and are now looking at this procession that's going on. You can hear his patent leather shoes clicking off of the stone as he makes his way up, and then off of the wooden staircase as he makes his way back upstairs.
Liz just goes, if it really bothers you, we'll hex him on our way out. Now we've got to find out whether or not Margaret Ann was wife before this. And that's why I think
if you have their history in front of you, we should probably leave. Based off of that interaction, that's not good.
No, it's not good, but we don't have a library card, and I don't feel like stealing from a library to my list of shit that we do. So just help me look. I'm sure it will be here soon. If not, we'll bring the whole library down. Fuck it.
Now hear me out. You literally have the book of their history of that time in your hands. What if we just take the pages surrounding where you're already in the book, because that's the previous wife, and go take the previous pages and the oldest pages and leave. It's a lot easier to take pages than a book, and by that guy's attitude, we probably have trouble coming. We should leave.
Instead of taking pages from a book, she's gonna take out her notepad and write them down very quickly, because she doesn't feel good about taking the pages from the book unless Moonin just goes fuck it and just rips it out of her hand. She's going to try and transcribe it very quickly.
I will give you a minute to transcribe before we need to go.
Several of the scribes are people who are working in there. The archivists are still looking at you.
Do any of you have an issue with my auntie looking for an old friend?
There's some mumbling. Give me a persuasion check, please.
But it is unfortunately at a disadvantage, because that is our party boon.
It's not against Darvin.
It was against Darvin only.
Oh, I thought it was against
this
everyone.
one is just a straight roll. I am doing my best to argue for my dear auntie. That is a 19.
You see several of them start to kind of like and him and hawing, and you watch as one of them walks up to you. She stands at just a little over 5 feet tall. She has on a rather um like an oversized smock that's belted at the waist. She has a slightly fuller figure, and you can see that her hair is piled down in ringlets that sit on her shoulders, and it's just like curly hair that comes down, hitting her shoulders. She has these rather large, unsightly looking glasses on her. They're
Like Coke
glasses
bottle
for her, but
glasses.
they're like shaped weird. They're not real thick, but they're shaped
Okay.
weird. But she walks over and like takes the glasses off and she folds them up and like puts them in the pocket of her smock, and she walks over and she says quietly, um, I, I, I can help you quickly find what you're looking for.
Liz
We
turns and smiles and says, "Excellent." And she hands her like another pen. I'm sure the woman had a pen, but she just like hands her another pen and just is like continuing like to move down her transcription.
You watch
would
as she looks left and right, and as she does, she takes several sheafs of paper and lays them down. What pages do you want copied?
Anyone with Darvin McCurry on them.
Anything to do with McCreary's?
Yeah, anything to do with the McCurrys, particularly Margaret, if there's more than one of them, or marriages. Marriages is what I'm really looking for.
Okay, it'll take me just a moment. And you see her take down the oldest, like, record book, and she flips through it carefully, like each page carefully moved. When she does, you watch as she mutters something in an arcane language and moves her hands. As she does, a copy of that page appears on the paper. She rolls it up, does this several times, rolls them up, and then hands it, like layers them and then rolls them up, hands them to you. She goes, I think that might be what you're looking for. She smiles, and as she does, she like tucks one little thing, and you can see the edges, not as bold as yours, but you can see the slight point in the ears, and she kind of like moves them again. She smiles at you shyly and like tucks her head down into her shoulders as she does. You'd better go. Don't go out that way. Follow me. She leads you through another corridor past more people who are doing transcription work, and then she leads you up another flight of stairs and a door that leads out into an alleyway.
Liz smiles and says thank you, and she also takes she says thank you in Elvish, and she takes like a piece of candy that she has in her bag and hands it to the woman.
She takes the candy, but when you say thank you, she just kind of looks at you curiously. You get the idea that she doesn't understand Elvish.
She then responds in English and she's or in common she says thank you.
Okay.
And now you know a new word of thank you in Elvish.
Oh, good. And with that, she like looks around quickly and then disappears back down the stairs into the building again. You're standing outside the library in an alleyway with parchment. Meanwhile, there are a few cemeteries in this town because it is a, decent sized population. Where do you want to start?
Uh, I guess it's mostly looking through the graveyard's names first and foremost.
Okay.
There is, I don't know, I don't think this is probably alphabetical, but I'm pretty sure if McCreary is an actually well-known name, which if he says he's been here as long as he has, there's probably been some sort of lineage. So I would guess that he has his family would have its own kind of section.
Okay.
So that'd be like the first
Um,
words.
Okay, hang on one second here. So, looking for people in particular is it's not as easy to find as you
Yeah.
would think. Just so you guys know, the population of Liverpool in around 1920 was like right about 800,000 people. So when I say this is a city, it's a big damn city.
Hmm.
That's why I was like, there's several cemeteries. Where do you want to start? Without
Oh,
knowing which plot or which church or what location they were buried at,
yeah.
you're not going to know.
Hmm. I guess it.
Although you do have information that will rule out some of them.
Yeah, depending on what side of town we're on, right? So, how many graveyards would be on this side of town?
There are 12,
Um, E.
including 2 paupers fields. You know what a pauper field is, right? No? A pauper field is basically if you are too poor to be interred somewhere nice, you are basically given a spot in the pauper's field.
Okay.
So if they had any influence at all, you would know that they weren't buried there.
So I can at least void those two for now. Um, while sort of traveling around, um, I think I would just ask somebody. I would have shifted from Emrys. I want to say, instead of being Emrys, instead of being the more male showing body, I would shift to female.
Okay.
Longer hair. Uh,
So from Emrys XY to Emrys XX.
yes. Um, my clothing is definitely not suited for this.
It's a little baggy.
Little baggy. Um, actually, before we would have left the tavern, were there like women working there, or were there just women around?
I mean, yeah, there are women working and moving around.
Perfect. I'd like to, yes, physically, visually change, but go back into the tavern. I'll tell Gej I'll be right back. I'll go in, find one of the women that best match probably my body type now, and see if I can talk my way into asking for a change of clothing, be it
Give me a
dress. That's-
give me a persuasion check.
I would offer coin in exchange to borrow and promise to return in exchange they can keep the coin.
I like your cut.
Um,
Can I have those?
I like it cut. Sorry, I don't know what my persuasion is. +3, so that is a 17.
A 17.
Yeah.
All right. Well, she looks you up and down as you make a plea to help me change out of this garb and into something more fitting.
Mm.
She's just looking you up and down, and she's like, "Is this some sort of a ploy to get me naked?"
No, not at all. I can promise that.
She laughs and says, "Ah, well, that's a shame. Come on, follow me, love. I've got a few more."
Thank you.
She takes you to what appears to be some sort of quarters for them to sleep in. Hydrate! And she gives you a place to change and an outfit. It's basically a very nondescript dress.
Yeah.
You know, bodice and everything.
Mhm. Perfect.
You look lovely.
Thank you. Promise I'm not used to it, but I'll get used to it quickly. Some coin for your troubles?
Anything will help.
Of course. And I don't know what kind of coin I have at the moment, but I would just give her like a small handful.
All right. So you give her some coin. She's like, she just kind of nods up and down at you as you do it. Give me 1 second here. Hmm. Okay. So you now have a change of clothing and you head out the door.
Correct?
That's exactly it.
Oh,
All right. Meeting Gej in there, you ruled out at least 2 of them. You ask around some folk and so
yeah.
try to get some idea of the McCreary.
Mhm.
Um,
I play up my new womanly features to see if I can get some friendly information.
You are given a couple of different fields.
Okay.
One of them is on the other side of town, so you know you rule that one out.
Mhm.
That lowers it down to 3 of them.
Perfect.
One is in an Irish Catholic church.
Okay.
One is attached to a Lutheran
Okay.
church. And the third is not attached to a church, but is in a field of its own.
Okay.
And they say it's more like almost like a park that's been, or like it was a cemetery and that was turned into a park or something like that. They notice this beautiful trees and walkways and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Um,
They tell you
I
that it is the only one that is a privately funded place.
okay. Oh God, I have no idea. I want to take my best guess with maybe the Irish Catholic.
Okay. So you're heading that way?
Yeah.
All right. As you approach, there is currently a mass being held. So everybody is inside. You do see entry into the graveyard that is off to the side and behind the church. You can easily make your way through the wrought iron gates and see that there are many peoples buried here. Give me investigation. Give me 3 investigation checks.
3 investigation checks.
3
Um,
investigation checks, totaling an hour's worth of time looking through this one particular place.
okay. I don't know if this would help at all, but I do have the oh, I have double sight, so if it has anything to do with not double sight, Eyes of the Rune Keeper, so I can read all writing, so I'm not too sure if any of that would
Yeah,
help
no.
at all.
No, it seems to all be written in English.
Okay, first two. This is investigation, you said?
Hmm.
Okay, perfect. That is a 14, a 16, and a 16.
Okay. Searching through here, taking it and like separating it into different sections, you carefully pick your way through each one.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, none of them seem to have any of the McCreary name on there.
Okay.
As you are done, you're leaving, you can see that mass is letting out.
Mhm.
You see the priest standing at the entryway in his full robe and regalia, saying his goodbyes to everyone as they leave. He turns, and as he's looking in your direction.
Mhm.
He just kind of cocks his head to the side and waves at you. Oh, hello! Shakes hands with the next person who's coming out the door.
Okay. Um, Well, maybe I'll take a moment. I'll wait until he is not busy and hasn't found his way back into the church yet.
Hmm.
Um, when he's saying goodbye to his last person, I'll approach.
Yeah, as the last of the parishioners leave, he starts to head your direction.
Oh, okay.
Um, was there anything I can help you with? Searching for family, maybe.
Um, not family per se. I'm more of an old family friend, I guess. Well, not mine. My grandfather's. McCreary?
McCreary.
Yes.
Don't know why you'd be searching for that lot here.
Oh,
Those, the McCreary family aren't one for spiritual endeavors, if you will.
uh, I wasn't sure. I have heard a couple things, but it's taking a best guess, you could say.
No, your guess was a bit off the mark,
Apologies.
but no harm, no foul, unless of course you've upended any of the graves.
Of course not. I would never.
Excellent. Go with God, my son, or go with God, my child. Sorry.
Of course. Um,
Habits.
of course. Um, before I part,
Hmm.
would you have any knowledge of where some of them may be buried? I have no ill plans. I'm just looking to see if I can find them.
Some may be buried. Um, I wasn't the one that did last rites on them. I don't know if anyone else with Mother Faiths may have. But as I said, they weren't very much in the way of spirituality. You might check up at the, and he gives you the name of the garden graves.
Okay. Thank you, Father. Have a good day.
You as well, my child. You as well. All right. So you make your way to the privately held one.
Mhm.
The gates are currently closed. You can see a small gatehouse there.
Mhm.
You can see a very bored looking man in maybe his late 50s who is sitting there currently with his feet propped up on one chair, leaning in another. He has a magazine in his hands. As you approach, he kind of like you can hear him folding it up together, and he sort of stands up as he looks at you. What's the nature of your business here?
Just visiting. I'm My grandfather spoke so much of the McCrearys that I've come to pay respects.
You come to pay respects to the McCrearys. Well, allow me. And he steps through, and in the gate, this big gate, which is designed to allow carriages and horses through, you can see a smaller one. And he steps to it, he opens it up, and he sort of invites you in. And what did you say your name was?
Um, always put on Amias.
Amias. It's a
Yes,
pleasure to make your acquaintance, Amias.
thank you.
Uh, well, my name's Huxtable. Follow me.
Of course, thank you.
And as he takes you, it's almost a guided tour. He shuts the gate behind you, and you hear the key turn. And he's guiding you through there, talking about the trees that were planted and when they were there. And again, he's walking through, and you can see that each one of the sections of this that are mapped out, it's like a street. So you have the main thoroughfare and then several branches off. You can see cross sections, and he tells you that each section is designated for one family. And as he walks you through, he says it costs him quite a bit to get their family plot here. And you see that there are graves here and there throughout the different ones, but you can also see a lot of this fields that are empty and there's nobody there. He leads you along the way until you come to what is not really a sizable piece of property, but it's large enough that it can house what looks to be about 15 headstones individually. At glance, you can see that they all say McCreary as the last name on them.
Okay.
What you notice is that they are new back to old. And when I say old, like old where the writing has been kind of eroded away in certain places.
Okay.
Um, and he says, the first of our interments here within the fields, whereas right there, Myra McCreary, a wife of the first Darvin McCreary. So many Darvin McCrearys, we've lost count now. I think we're up to 16.
Oh,
But you don't want to walk around calling yourself Darvin the 16th. That's a bit pretentious. Not to mention, we've heard that this latest Darvin is a bit of a ne'er-do-well.
oh.
Anyways, Myra was our first interment here. Her husband, Darvin, followed her a few years later. Of course, he being Darvin, the first of his name. Darvin McCreary, no middle name. Those didn't start until the second or third one, I believe. Is literally Darvin the second, Darvin the third, and then it's Darvin. Let's see. And he looks over Darvin Mateus. So that was our first name there, Darvin Mateus, and it seems like it's a long line of Darvins, and he starts to kind of look around at all the other graves. Yeah, I'm sorry, I've prattled on as I always do. What was it that you said you were looking for in particular? Your grandfather, right?
Yes.
Was he a McCreary?
No. No, it's safe to say that. He was just friends to one. He spoke very well of him, his father.
He guides you to the most recent set, and you see the names on there of Margaret Ann.
Okay.
And Darvin O. McCreary. This was Margaret Ann and Darvin Obed McCreary. This Obed was father of the current ne'er-do-well McCreary. It should have been his middle name, Darvin Ne'er-do-well McCreary. Not that I know him personally. I'm sure he's perfectly fine. Obed might be some good scotch. Unfortunately, I said Obed. Obed.
I misheard.
Obed.
My brain was like,
Scotch. He was a hardworking man. That one there. I hate to see all of his earnings pissed. Oh, pardon my language, miss. I hate to see all of his squandered. That's the word I should have used. But yes, this is there he is, and he just kind of motions to you.
Right. Thank you. You've been quite some help.
Certainly.
Is it always the wife that passes first? You mentioned it at the beginning that she passed and then her husband passed.
Well, obviously, I'm not as old as Myra and
Oh.
Darvin there, but
Of course, I would have never guessed that.
from he blushes slightly in the cheeks. Oh, you're a lovely one. As far back as I know, it's always been she passes, and then he sort of quietly passes as well. Now, here's the darndest thing. I've worked here for some odd 30 years. The processions for her are a big ordeal. But two things are curious.
Mhm.
His processions are never a big deal. And I don't recall, now granted, that's their family, so I never get into business with it. I don't ever recall him being there. It might be that he's sickly and can't, of course, make it in. But it's the darndest thing that you never see him at the processions there.
Oh. Perhaps sickly or just can't bear to let her go.
Could be.
Has you said the ne'er-do-well, I guess. The most recent. He is still he's still among us, of course. I'm not saying that.
Of
But
course.
has his wife passed?
As far as I know, that one's not married yet.
Oh.
And at the rate he's going, he'll slip somebody's blade between his ribs before he slips a ring on a finger.
Well, that's a shame. They seem to be very fond of, well, their partners or wives.
So it would seem.
I may go looking for him. Um, I just to sort of hear about our grandfather's past. But is there anything I should worry about or should keep an eye out for? I guess.
From what I know of him, don't go gambling.
All right.
And don't think you can drink him under a table either.
Oh, that's no problem. I don't drink.
How proper ladylike of you. Right. Must be on our way.
Of course. Um,
Uh,
thank you again.
oh, you're welcome.
Um,
It's my pleasure. Don't often get people coming in here to look around, so it was nice having company for a little while.
of course. Perhaps I will pay another visit before I leave town.
Oh, that'd be right lovely of you, it would be.
Mhm.
And he kind of holds his arm out.
Oh, perfect. I'll hook my hand on it. Um,
As you're walking, he continues to do the tour guide thing.
yeah. Before we leave the area, is there anything noticeably on any of the I'm going to look specifically at the wife's tombstones. Is there anything specifically on the tombstones that would seem out of place, or if there is a symbol of any sorts? I'm going to guess the wife's tombstones, if they would be more extravagant in nature.
Yes, they are. I mean, they're both very nicely done.
Yes.
But you can definitely tell that there was some more thought. Like hers might read, "Beloved wife lost to us through this," or "My beloved," so forth and so on. Give me a perception check though.
18.
Okay. The very first one, it's hard to make out because it is so faded, but you think you see there's some strange writing in it.
Okay.
You would have to have somebody who might. Oh wait, you have Eyes of the Runekeeper, don't you?
I do.
It translates itself. Again, most of it is missing, but you can make out letters that look like Hear, and then the
Okay.
last two are kind of scrubbed out.
Okay.
Um,
What was the name of the first wife again? I apologize. It was the first one.
Moira.
Moira?
Mhm,
Okay.
Moira. It says something like, um, dutiful servant of Hear, and then keeper, um, keeper of keeper of the house or something. It translates loosely to that. You're sure that in the original language it would probably be more eloquently said, but
Yeah. Okay.
all right.
Perfect. And I will let him lead the way, continue his spiel, pay attention for the most part. Um, just unless I get distracted by something else, which
Okay.
probably wouldn't happen.
Eventually you make your way out and you now have some information from that.
Perfect.
All
I
right.
am just going to stay in this form.
Where are you going? Where is the other party going? Where are you guys going to? You said this is where we're going, but you never said this is where we'll meet up.
um, I would probably just spend my time walking down the street with Gej if he would allow me to put my hand on his arm,
Hmm.
make a show, make it look normal a little. And keep an eye out for either Moonin or Liz. if depending on where they're going. Right now, it's walking
Population of
down the main street.
800,000 people. Good
Yeah,
luck.
I'll go towards the library to see if they're either still there or if I can spot them.
You've been gone for a few hours. They were gone for no. By the time you get to the library, you don't see any word. You can see though, as you approach the library, standing outside are two groups of men wearing armbands and other such things.
Uh, when I notice that, I'd be quick to turn
And
Gej.
you guys divert
Just like,
away from there.
yep. All right,
All
that's
right.
not the sense. I guess best bet I would go back to where we split up.
Your hangout. Or are you going back to the tavern?
I'd start with the tavern, and then if anything worse comes to worse, I just would go back to the
Okay.
hideout.
I'm going to assume you guys went back to the hideout. Okay.
After that
Eventually,
interaction, yeah.
eventually your friends show back up. Well, I should say Gej shows up, and with Gej is a very familiar looking woman in kind of a simple framed dress on his arm. Gej says,
Gej.
Amias? That's her name. At least that's the name she gave to the fellow.
Liz just smiles and goes, "Not Sarah. I think I like you better this way."
Sarah was a completely different person. Amias is also a completely different person. I'll stay like this for a while.
What information did you guys find out?
Liz just hands like a stack of
Several.
blank paper.
Like papers that have been unrolled.
Yeah, we've been looking at it. I would assume from this information we would know that the Darvin currently is not married, and we would know all of the previous ones and that they would have also died beforehand. Is there anything else that we would have gleaned from this information that we had?
Yes. You find the earliest Mrs. McCreary is not named Moira.
Okay, what's there? Are they all the same name?
The rest of the names are all the same.
So it's Margaret or Marianne or Margaret Ann?
Yep, I mean they all match up with what
So
Emerus
only
and Gej
the
saw.
the oldest wife's name does not match the ledger versus the tombstone.
Do the years match? The oldest on the tombstone between the oldest in paperwork?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Do the gravestone that I saw, the oldest gravestone with the name Moira on it, is
Mhm.
that year in the notes? Like, is there a matchup between year to year,
Yes.
between
Year to
physical and
Yes. The name in the paper and the name on the tombstone are different.
What is the name on the paper?
Give me just 1 second here.
Sure.
will share? Well, Cap was doing that. What I ended up seeing on the tombstone, roughly servant of, I'm going to guess that it said heart because it was almost spelling that. I will say I'm still getting used to these being able to read everything that I see, so it took me a moment.
All right.
You
The
can
name
read
that you
everything
see,
New talent. Don't worry about it right now.
um, the name that you see on there is Mabin.
Sorry.
Mabin.
Mabin?
Mabin.
Now, is the wife alive for the same like amount of time every time, or is it like a
No, I
shorter?
mean, the wife varies from wife to wife. And the Darvins vary as well. There's no like everybody lives for X amount of years and passes. The only difference that you see in there, which is a pretty glaring one, is that the paper has her as Mabon, but the thing says Moira.
And then does Dorvin seem to die shortly after she dies, or is that also like weird? Like there's no consistency.
There's not really consistency. It could be a couple of days, it could be a month. It's usually though within the same year.
And in our marriages, how long do they seem to be married, or is that like anything?
In your marriages, I mean, it varies.
And how old is the current Darvin?
The current Darvin, from what you can tell by the records, is a ripe old 27.
My brain has just been taken over by this new knowledge of Emrys, so I pick up a piece of paper and write in Norwegian, "We almost got into a fight with the librarian," and just goes,
But Liz
God.
goes,
Just looking at it like, you almost got into a fight with the librarian.
"He can read
Right.
everything."
what? How did you?
Don't.
All right, cool.
New
That's
eyes.
handy.
Who dis? Worry about it later. Task at
I
hand.
mean, he was racist, and I mean, we probably could have killed him there, and the archivist would have backed us up. But you know, we tried real hard not to kill him and not to steal any library books today.
That's always the
But-
chaos you get into when it's just
But
you two.
we shouldn't go back to the library.
I'm not saying that we've been banned. We just shouldn't go.
Yeah. There
Well-
wasn't an actual altercation, but it would be wise for us not to go back.
Well, I guess
Well, I
if
guess
we
if
need
we
to go
need-
back, it'll be a task for myself and Gej this time.
Although I do sort of want to go back just to hex him because he like was mean to my honor, and I don't really want to stand for that. But at the same time, we've got too much trouble going on.
Well, while you
Although-
guys are discussing that, can you tell me what somebody give me a history check?
Mine's crap.
Liz will give guidance to whoever, or just like touch them and be like, I got this. You got this. Who has history as a thing?
Come on.
You mean Boulder Parchment Cheers?
Yeah.
I know that game. 1, 2, 3, go.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
1, 2, 3, go. Okay. I guess I'll do it. God.
Chaos.
Sorry, you're giving me guidance? Which
Yes,
is a
for a history
D4?
check.
Yes.
D4.
Yes.
Mhm.
D4.
Oh God, thank God. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
The name Mabon strikes a chord with you. It is both a male and female name, but the meaning is one thing and one thing only.
Okay.
Divine Son, S-O-N, not
Okay.
S-U-N.
I'm not surprised by that. With how he acted with me in the beginning, it makes a little bit of sense. Maybe. Just a little. Okay.
The name Moira has a meaning to you as well,
Okay.
and that is destiny.
Is this a case of reincarnation? We do an eyebrow dance in unison, like the chocolate Cadbury commercial. Who who believes in, just to throw the idea out there, reincarnation? Mayhaps. It's just an idea, but or unless I mean I don't know much about magic, but the passing the passing on of maybe souls, or I don't know magic. I don't know the spell. I can't remember it off the top of my head either. But between destiny and everything like that.
So Liz would apparently have believed in reincarnation. There is things in the Norse religion that speak about reincarnation, so Liz would know about this.
Mm-hmm. You're pretty sure it isn't. It isn't reincarnation.
Then what
I'm-
incarnation?
Liz would then be like, what makes you think that it's reincarnation? Because so far, I don't think that it is.
I don't know. It's just an idea. I mean, if it's reincarnation or destiny, continuously meeting your fated loved one, like any sort of love story, I guess, that someone would hope. I mean, if you want to find it, living a new life or finding yourself in a new life and looking for the loved one you've always been drawn to, it's maybe it's a fool's idea, but he always said to be one for a romantic.
Well,
Is our friend Richard here with us in our hideout?
Mm-hmm.
Liz is gonna look over and be like, "Do you think of anything? Do you have any input?"
You're asking me if I can help you with finding out the mystery of the riddle that was given to you by what is quite obviously a fae. Is that what you're asking me?
Yes, as long as it doesn't cost me anything.
Oh, yeah, no idea. Good luck, though.
Worth a shot.
Ooh. Took aim. Missed it. Hello, Otheon. Well, all right. I'm not going to be a complete and total dick, even if my name is Richard. My name is not Richard. Stop that. You've got into my head. Look at you lot.
you're
All
the
right,
one who
we'll try this
introduced
again.
yourself as Richard.
Shut up. There's neither here nor there. What is it? What was the riddle that he gave you?
That we
He's
need
always
to
been
find
known.
Find his heart. Okay.
I don't think he meant carve it out of his chest either, so should we leave that off the table this time?
No, no, no. Nothing's off the table.
And he gave us 3 hints, which I think Liz wrote down.
Yes, the first one is, and Liz would have written this down probably, is He's always gone by the same name. We know that there's been 16 of them. He's older than this town, and that his heart lies on this side of the city.
His heart
And we
lies
know-
on this side of the city, but where were you?
At the tavern.
The pub that's like in the center of town.
Yes.
Just an idea. Just hear me out. You're looking at it from like north, east and west, right? North and south sort of side of things. But remember, like a coin, there's two sides. One that will always be underneath, and one that will always be on top of. Do you understand my meaning? Maybe, possibly, his heart isn't a person, but either a place or a thing. I take everything back. This is actually kind of fun. What else did you find?
The names of the first wife don't match.
I'm
The
sorry, I
name
don't take
on
the meaning.
name of his first wife on the tombstone does not match up with the name of his first wife in the ledgers.
Oh, so the difference between the places, right?
And I believe the one on paper translated to Destiny, or was it the other way around?
Moira on the tombstone was Destiny. Mabin, which I gave you the wrong spelling, it's M-A-B-Y-N, but Mabin is Divine Son.
So
I mean, Emerson didn't tell us this. I don't remember.
that's fair.
Perhaps.
So disregard
Perhaps.
that.
Perhaps, in going along with what he's just given us, right? This side of the city. And now we have two names that translate to Destiny and Divine Son. The religion is a little newer, and it's not one that I particularly cotton to, but does that ring any bells with any sort of spiritual thing? Divine Son, Destiny?
What do I know of history?
This would be testing players' knowledge. Because there's a real religion that deals a lot with divine sons and destiny.
Is it Christianity?
Yes.
My brain's like, there's a few. But yes. If that
Would
had
have
been a
also
roll,
given-
it would have been bad either way.
I would have given the information on the names whenever I started talking about reincarnation. Because I did mention Destiny and Fated Sun.
All right. So, do you want a religion check to try and figure out which sector of Christianity, or at this point, it's going to definitely be like Catholicism?
I mean, Christianity in and of itself has a very, very famous verse. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever should believe in him shall not perish but have everlasting life.
That sounds like it's in the Bible.
Well, I'm just gonna feed you guys all these shits. Divine Son, Destiny.
I feel like you're feeding it to us, but it's not digesting at all. I'm so sorry.
No, you're all like, this is broccoli. I don't like broccoli. Eh.
My brain's just like, Jesus was crucified. Is this what he wants?
Do we bring him a
Okay.
Bible? What do we do?
Okay,
Is
let's
this
look at
your
the information
heart?
you know. It's like,
Sorry.
I didn't take you for a reader.
is this... No. Is this Gideon's? Anyways, so you have 3 additional things to go on. Well, a few additional things to go on. When he says it's on this side of the city, what does he mean? It's on the top side of the city. It's not in the sewers. It's not underground, right?
It's not a dead thing.
It is not probably a dead thing, yes. Now, you have 2 names that give away a clue towards something else. That it is Divine Son and Destiny, both pointing toward Christianity. And I have also told you that there are 2 specific churches in this town that are Christian churches. I said specifically 2 different sects of Christianity. Do you remember what they are?
Irish Catholic, and there was another one.
Yes, there is another one. Irish Catholic and
My brain went straight. Something with an L.
yes, it is something with an L. Lutheran. That is
My
correct.
brain went-
Lutheran.
Straight to Lithuanian, and I'm like, that's not a religion.
I
I'm so sorry.
Welcome to Bible class, everyone, because apparently the DM is like way too meta into this. I'm
Welcome
gonna
to
start giving
Bible
you guys like
study.
the Fruit Loops version. You can't handle a full breakfast. All right, so
You know, I'll clarify on that further, not on stream.
I have my own particular opinions about it, but that doesn't mean I can't use it to make a Dan Brown novel. That was a no, nothing.
I got
got it.
you.
It was good. It was good.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, I guess. But didn't Emerus go to the
One of the
Irish
seven-
Catholic Church?
The
Yeah.
I went to
cemetery.
the Irish Catholic Church, to the cemetery specifically.
Did she talk to the father?
Yeah.
Did the father know Darvin?
He said that none of the family graves were in this location. Or that I should try this location instead. He seemed very peaceful about it, didn't really try to sit there and be like, ugh. He didn't say
Okay,
anything
well,
bad.
I guess we should be going to the other church to see if he is, goes there every Sunday.
Has your church
What did
ever
you guys-
been visited by a leprechaun? Find cereal
All
under
right.
the pews.
Do you want? Jesus Christ! Extra gold coins.
Just one in the
So-
basket every Sunday.
Heading to the Lutheran Church. Okay. Since I apparently made this one too meta, and I've met with people who don't have any theology, I feel like, at least with this.
I know a lot of religious stuff, but none of it is Christianity.
I can answer a lot of the Bible trivia questions at Trivia Night, but that's about it.
Went to Catholic school for 12 till all the way up until grade 12.
Well, I'm
Even
going to
grade
give you
13.
some.
Grade
I'm
13.
going to give you information that you will need to know. Irish Catholic comes from a split. The Catholic and the Protestant churches, there was a big fallout. Irish Catholic was involved from that. It is not the same as Roman Catholic, only in so much as some of the edicts that they have. I'm not going to get into too many details. People can correct me. I'll be wrong about shit. That's fine. I'm neither Catholic nor Irish Catholic. Give me a break. However, the Lutheran Church, Lutheranism started around the 16th century. So did Irish Catholicism. Around the 16th century, which would have been the 1500s, in this world, what took place around that time, a little bit ahead of then? At the end of the at the beginning of the 1400s, magic was
that
done.
when the tome was discovered?
That was when the tome was translated. And it came into prevalency around the 1500s, or around the time that these would have come into place. So, Now that we're all caught up. Don't worry, baby birds. I'll feed you. So now that you're all caught up, of the two of them, the Irish Catholic is older, but only marginally so.
So, by age, should we start with the older church? As I have
He's been
So-
doing like an Irish accent, so I would assume probably that would probably be a good idea. But Emerus went there, so
as I've suddenly remembered a font of religious lore. Well, you looked at the cemetery, but you didn't go in the church, yeah?
Didn't go in. Mass was letting out. I wasn't going to go into a crowd of people. I spoke briefly with the father, but that was about it. Very polite.
Oh.
Would probably give us information if we asked. He gave me some information before I left. Seemed
You do raise
positive enough.
a good point about the accent from Darwin. That might be a good place to start.
wait,
No.
did you say that Mass was letting out? So it's Sunday or Saturday night? It's Sunday morning or Saturday night?
They may have held masses at different times. Don't think in terms of America.
I wasn't, but okay.
Okay. So, are you heading to the Irish Catholic Church then?
Sure. It seems like that's where we should go from your smiles. So we go there.
My smiles are always there. That's one of the things you never know with me.
You know, a DM smiling can mean so many things.
Especially this one.
Yeah, but there's different variations of the smiles, and I've played enough at your tables to know which ones are which. So
Which ones
we go
are,
to that.
you're on the right path versus yeah, that's fine. You can do that.
This is the follow the breadcrumb smile. Look at the tram! Look at the tram!
Yeah, that's that smile.
Look at the trail. Look at where it
Where
goes. Lead you by your nose. The church is established. As you're looking at it, give me perception checks.
17.
10 plus 7 for another 17.
I have 15, but my passive is 18.
Go with your passive. Looking at the church as you approach, one of the things you see is that it's a lot of stonework, very well done. Here and there you see gilding where gold inlays have happened. But you notice that this, unlike when you see a Roman Catholic church, what is one of the major iconography pieces that you see? Iconography being those things of
Mary.
Christian belief.
Or stained glass.
And what do you usually see though? What is the biggest thing we see is a crucifix, right? You see crosses, crucifixes, things like that. You see crosses, but these are different. Are any of you familiar with the Celtic cross?
Yes.
It is a familiar
Yes.
Celtic with the circle around it, correct? As you are approaching at this time of day, you can see that the sun is hitting the Celtic cross that is at the top of this steeple, and there is glints of gold in this cross. It's made not of gold, it's made of stone, but like veins of it run through there. And you can see that it's glinting beautifully out of there. As you approach, you see the same father who was there earlier giving the mass. He seems to be changing out something in the front of the building, and he is talking to what appears to be either other priests or you see another priest there as well as a altar boy, and they're talking about readying something around the church. They're having a conversation about it. All right, are you leading the way again?
I'm a familiar face, so he'd probably recognize me almost immediately.
As you approach, he turns and smiles at you. Welcome back, my child. I see you've brought a few friends with you.
Yes. I was speaking about this church earlier, and they said they'd like to visit, so I brought them by.
Well, it's a wonder that you did. This is actually, well, parts of this one are the oldest church in all of Liverpool.
Only parts.
As a matter of fact, the cross, and he points up there was a sacking of Liverpool that happened, well, even before it was really known as Liverpool. But there was much of a war that took place here, and there was a sacking of the church. They absconded with a lot of the gold and other things. The only thing that remained was put into that cross there.
Oh.
There was a small cachet of gold, and we worked the veins within that cross. It's one of the oldest parts of this whole entire thing. Building itself has been refurbished, of course, over time, but as far as things go here, it's a beautiful building. Come inside. You should see the way the rafters are set up and everything. It's as though the music just picks up into the top and sings out there when we're singing our hymnals. It just seems to ring out through the entirety of the building. Come inside. Make yourselves comfortable. All are welcome here in the house of God.
Beautiful. I'll turn to Moonin and listen. I'd love to get a tour. If will you two be joining?
Always down to learn more history.
Like stare, and then I stare up, and then I stare.
No, thank you. This is not my religion, but I appreciate it. And I'm going to take in the architecture from the outside.
Would you ever consider taking time to hear witness? I'd love to hear your story and what religion you are, and possibly the reasons why God might be a better firmament for you to stand upon there, my child. Do you have your hair tucked back so your ears are showing?
No, she still probably has it in a bun, and she probably has one ear out because she forgot to put it away. So it's just like one ear's out, but like the other's like tucked into her hair.
He's as he's talking to you about, finding firmament and, finding religion in Catholicism, or specifically in Jesus Christ, he stops for a second, and he takes a breath, and then he kind of lets it out, and he goes, and I mean all are welcome in the house of God, even one such as yourself.
Liz just looks down and just goes, I'm not going to hit a priest today. That is not what we're doing today. And that's just like the entire look of just, we're not hitting a priest today. I know that like they
probably
just
stay outside with
her. And she just looks back up and she goes, very politely, just goes, I possibly, but not today, Father.
He kind of looks at you for a moment, and you can see his face. Like, have you ever seen somebody's face recognize that they did something wrong, and then the apology starts here? His face goes white. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I meant no offense at that. I was trying to sound welcome, and I'm not sure. I didn't mean any offense. I apologize.
She nods, but it's a very like stiff nod, and she's just like, I don't think you meant offense, Father, but I've had too much hatred today from others about who I am. So today is not the day for me, but maybe some other day.
Of course. Again, may you walk with the grace of he who blesses you. Or she who blesses you. Shall we take a tour inside then?
Yes, I would love a tour.
And you go inside and you see the things that you would expect to see. Large glass windows with beautiful colorations that dapple the grounds with different blues and reds and things like that. Outside, you're looking around. You see that there are not really any points of like access to the roof. You can see where there looks like there was spaces for them to put a scaffolding up, but there's nothing being done right now. So there's no access up there on top, at least from outside. I mean, you can scale the building. The stonework is big enough, and so, but you would have to definitely have something.
I would make sure if I was the only one
That I
that
can't meld stone to the top of the building.
Meld into stone, not meld up the stone. What were you saying, Emerson? I'm sorry.
Sorry, if I was the only one that went in with the priest and Moonin, and I left Moonin and Liz out to kind of explore and look around and see about getting up there, I would be sure to ask all the questions I possibly could to keep him busy and keep him
As
enraptured
long
in
as you
this dream.
can.
Yeah,
We would
And,
have sent Gej in with you to help
Yeah.
with that.
yeah. Just asking the simplest of questions, probably seeming like a bit of a dumb blonde. I'm not in the sense of dumb blonde, but
Like, why do you only get one cracker?
Yeah.
What?
why does there always have to only be one cracker? What if maybe two? No.
He just laughs and he pats your hand. The Eucharist is what that is called. It's the body of Christ. It's supposed to be representative of. It is enough to fill you and keep
Oh.
your soul and spirit filled.
Oh, I apologize. I'll be honest, I'm a little new in everything like this.
Certainly.
I'm making sure to learn everything I can.
Gej points to a few booths that are lined up. Some of them have doors and some of them have like curtain looking things. And he goes, "Are those the privies?" And the priest laughs again. No, those are the confessional booths, but I guess in a way they are. You sort of get in there and unload your crap onto another person who listens to you and then advocates for you. So, and they starts to show you around the entirety of it.
Right.
All right, so outside again you can see what it looks like, but you don't see any way to get up there.
Liz is gonna do something real dumb, probably. She's going to how tall is this building?
Up to the lowest point is still 30 feet off the ground. The highest point is going to be about, like, the top of the cross is 80 feet in the air.
It's 80 feet? Did you say that's 80 feet in the air?
80 feet. It's a big building.
Did he say that we had to take him his heart? Is that what he said?
What did he say?
We have to find his heart.
Well, I think we found it. I mean, she's going to do something really dumb and might die from it, but she's going to do it anyway. She's going to cast Cat's Grace on herself and try to climb the building. That was not a good look. I don't think that was a good look. All right,
not the lithe dude next to you.
Maybe I should have made notes.
Not the lithe, dexterous, lightly armored dude next to you.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that on.
So how many feet does she get up until she realizes as she's not making any
It's the scene from Frozen where she's like climbing the side of the mountain, but she's like falls and she's like that far off the ground.
She's like, Moonin.
I mean, I bet you I could jump higher than the church.
Did you say you could jump higher than the church?
Yes. Would you like to see?
Did you say jump?
I did. And Moonin is going to do a regular jump.
No one ever takes jump. I love this. Go
No,
for it.
no. This is just a literal regular hop. As churches cannot jump, I can absolutely jump higher than the
God.
church.
You're fired.
Inspiration for you, my good man. Thank you. You got me on that one too.
You're fired. God.
That was great. I can jump higher than the church, and then just jumps. Ta-da.
You see, Cap's brain went immediately to the spell, and that's not where we were going. So
That's the DM for you, waiting for your fuckery.
we went with a different type of fuckery today. So, why are you casting on me?
Cat's Grace.
I'm casting Cat's Grace, which is advantage on dexterity checks, and you don't take damage from falling 20 feet or less. So if you fail on your first 2 climbing things, you should be fine.
What's climbing based on?
With the church, I would think acrobatics.
Usually that's athletics.
Fine, you get strength, motherfucker. It doesn't matter what you get. You can either get Cat's Grace or strength. I don't care.
You get bull's strength or Cat's Grace.
Well, let me tell you, I do not look super strong. Did he say we have to bring him his heart or just find it? Because that's a long way up.
I mean, we could also probably shoot it down, but I don't think he's going to appreciate us shooting down his heart.
Shot through the heart. I saw you mouthing the words over there, even though your mic was off.
Sorry, I was getting banana candy.
No, it's cool. I saw you like bending down, and I saw your mouth word.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
right.
I feel like shooting it down would cause a lot more damage.
Well,
Also,
shooting
a bit
it
of a
down,
commotion.
finding him and bringing him back here, climbing up to get it, whatever decision you make will have to wait until next week, as we have come to the end of this episode.
Oh,
Ladies and gentlemen,
jeez.
they have maybe found where the heart is. We'll see more next week. Make sure you tune in, tell your friends, spread the love. Thanks to D&D Beyond for the use of their wonderful tools. Don't forget, Wild Beyond the Witchlight is out now. You can get that in the digital form with the really cool maps and they have with it. It's a really fun adventure. And for the pacifists in you, you can actually get through it without any combat. There's a way to pathway through it. That's like my goal, to see if I can lead a party through there. Everybody wants to fight though, so who knows. The other thing too is, don't forget, not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after, the 19th, Fizzband's Horde of Dragons. I'm super excited about that. It looks really good. I'm really super excited. It's like the first time in a long time where I've wanted to get a resource guide so that I can add it into things. That's a lie, because I wanted to get Von Richten's guide to Ravenloft, and that was amazing. I did pick that up.
I am so excited for that book.
Which one, the Fizzbands or the
Fizzband?
Yeah, I am too. I'm really excited. And then the curriculum beyond the Chaos curriculum is coming out. Chaos Beyond the Curriculum. What? Is coming out in November. So we got like all these extra books coming out. Don't forget, we have virtual D&D weekends coming up in October. I will not be running it, but in November I will. And Winter Fantasy is coming up in February. And your boy is going to be at Winter Fantasy. Come play some D&D with me in the snow. No games are actually played in the snow. We'll be playing indoors, and there might be snow outside. Anyways, come play with me in Fort Wayne, Indiana, February 2nd through the 6th. I'm going to be there. I would love to have some people show up. It would be a lot of fun. I know it was a blast whenever we got together. Unfortunately, I don't think the borders are going to be open around that time for you guys to come down and visit, but I would still love it if you could.
It does depend, since vaccinations are out now.
That's true. So I would love to have you guys come back down and
Yeah.
hang out. That was a lot of fun. It was good to see Nancy and you and Maddie, and then Steve came over and we all hung out and ran games and stuff. So anyways, don't forget, we have games every day except for Fridays, because we have a game on Friday run over a different place. We will raid, so stick around for a few minutes. Don't forget, do me a favor, spread the love whenever you see us go live. share it with everyone. Tomorrow night, Jason will be back with the rest of the crew for World at War, which is a Scion game. So if you're not like, D&D's cool, but let's see something else, definitely check it out. Also, one more thing, free RPG Day, October 16th. Go to your local game store, play something new. Love you guys. We'll see you all next week. Until then, remember, tune in tomorrow for World at War. And we'll raid somebody. Bing! Good night, everybody.